Hey everyone, and welcome back to News to Astonish, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. And back to another amazing Marvel Spider-Man 2 video. Did you all think I was going to forget about Marvel Spider-Man 2 and not make another video about it? No, I have some ideas, and it's just that Spider-Man No Way Home has been overshadowing Marvel Spider-Man 2 as of recent. I hope you're all excited for that as well. But before we get into the details about this twist and working theory about Venom and Peter Parker, I want you all to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so y'all don't miss videos like this. I post videos every day, and I live stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Join my Discord. The invitation link is in the description box below, along with the links to my Twitter and Instagram. For the longest time since the post-credit scene of Marvel Spider-Man, for many players, including myself, have thought that Harry Osborn is going to be Venom in the sequel, and we were all pretty much locked onto that theory. But then I kept thinking that it can't be that easy. Coincidentally enough, I found an article that discusses that a bit deeper. On Inverse.com, the article discusses the theory about Peter Parker becoming Venom in the game. It's a bit of an identity twist and shocking. Let's read this article and then we will discuss. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is set to release in 2023, but recent theories, supplemented by an alleged Reddit leak, have potentially revealed details about the game's key villains and some gameplay features. For the purpose of this article theory, we've chosen to focus on the former. It might seem like a lock that Harry Osborn is destined to become Venom, but might develop Insomniac Games have other plans? If this supposed development source is correct, it sounds as though Venom's story may be far more complicated than you'd expect, and a very complicated story involving Venom and the characters' relationships with one another is what we need. The Reddit leak goes on to discuss some of the potential leaks, nothing too crazy, but if you want to spare yourself from getting spoiled, now's your chance to click away. Remember, take everything I'm about to read and discuss with you with a huge grain of salt. None of this information can be substantiated at this time, but in a way, the details of this Reddit leak do make sense. Details for the next game, spoilers leak. I can't disclose how I have this information. If you don't believe this, that is fine. I just want to let the fandom know what I know. First of all, development is further along than most people think. COVID obviously hurt the process, so they're really just focusing on gameplay and haven't really recorded anything yet. The story will totally revolve around the symbiote. Harry is not Venom. It's a fake out, they're just using him as a way to get the symbiote on Peter. Norman will not be the Goblin yet. He will play a huge role, but they seem to be saving that for the future. Wraith will play a role as a recurring boss. Lizard is obviously planned, as well as some other villains. I don't know who the big bad is, but it's someone big. The map is also expanded, which I think most people expected. Not sure to what scale though. Miles is fully playable. The story will switch between them at various points. You play as Peter for the majority of the game. Miles still have a lot to do in the story, as well as his own side missions. Once you beat the campaign, you unlock the ability to freely switch between at will. The black suit will have its own mechanics. There will be an upgraded tree, as well as several unique abilities like a rage mode, etc. I'm also being told that Insomniac is putting more of an emphasis on suits in this game. Several suits will actually factor into the leak, like how the anti-ox suit worked. They also want to make sure players don't feel like they have to start all over again. There will be an option to transfer your saves from the first games to have gadgets and upgrades already unlocked. This will also transfer the suits from the first two games. That's all I know for now. We'll update though. So a lot of our hopes seems like they will come to fruition for the most part. Remember, these are just supposed leaks of the game. Again, it can't be proven otherwise. This is all we've got. A little earlier I mentioned Peter Parker might be the one to be Venom in the game. You might be thinking, Ronnie, how's that possible? We can clearly see Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man right there in the trailer with Venom appearing in the dark alley. True, but you have to remember that this trailer was mostly a promotional trailer, and that particular scene might take place later on in the game with someone else that has already merged with the symbiote. I'm not saying Peter Parker is going to permanently be Venom. It's most likely going to be a temporary scenario to serve as part of the narrative. Perhaps it'll give us an opportunity to play as Venom in this game. That gameplay is going to look sick, by the way. Continuing on with the article, while it might seem obvious that Harry could be the source of the symbiote given that the creature is floating in a tank with him, this particular leak suggests it's actually Peter Parker who, at least temporarily, transforms into Venom in the end. That narrative would make sense for multiple reasons, one of which being that there's a clear path of interaction between Harry and Peter. At the start of the game, for example, Harry could presumably return from his quote-unquote vacation and reconnect with his long-lost pals. Given that setup, the symbiote might start its journey on the agitated Harry and eventually make its way to Peter Parker, paving the way for the described chain of events. We also know, courtesy of a statement by Marvel Creative Vice President Bill Roseman in a September 2021 interview This Week in Marvel podcast, that Marvel Spider-Man 2 will presumably be darker than its predecessor. Narratively speaking, what could be darker than exploring the depths of Peter Parker's inadequacies and dark events of his past? At this point in the story, Uncle Ben and Aunt May are dead, and Parker's girlfriend is currently globetrotting thousands of miles away. Does he blame himself for either of these tragic losses? Does he feel poorly equipped to handle a truly meaningful relationship? These plot threads are too tantalizing to ignore, and Venom is the best vehicle through which they can be explored. I can only imagine everything that'll be running through Peter's mind. All of the loss he suffered, the unbalanced life that he lives, all of those issues running through his mind and only fueling his guilt, which in turn becomes rage, which also makes for a great, intriguing, and complicated narrative involving Venom. Equally intriguing is what a symbiote-fueled Peter Parker might offer to gameplay as well. The source leaks suggest players will be able to control Venom Peter as he makes his way around New York, and that the conflicted character will sport a bevy of unique abilities. If true, such a concept wouldn't be completely foreign to PlayStation Studios, the publisher behind games like Ghost of Tsushima, a game where players control both the samurai and ninja ghost forms of its protagonist Jin Sakai. This idea is even supported by the trailer as well, as the clip's narrator begs to be confronted by someone equal to himself. When the unidentified voice asks, "Will one of you give me what I desire?" Venom replies, "Yes, we will." In this case, the "we" can serve multiple purposes. Venom does often refer to itself and its host with such language in other mediums such as the live-action movies and comics, but it could be the voice of the symbiote suggesting that itself and Peter will provide enough of a challenge, or maybe it's an emboldened Peter suggesting his newly powerful self and his mentee, Miles, will handle the dirty work. Either way, it doesn't exactly sound like Harry is doing much heavy lifting. The Spider-Man franchise is infamous for its fake-outs, regardless of the medium in which it's consumed. In games specifically, we've already seen tales initially about Mr. Negative and the Tinkerer evolve into stories about Doc Ock and Simon Krieger respectively. In that case, initially driving fans toward Harry and instead of shifting the focus to Peter seems more feasible than ever. The question is that the Marvel Spider-Man sequel you're hoping for? Keep in mind that all of this makes sense, at least to me. It's only fitting for Peter to take off with the mantle as Venom, only temporarily though. Perhaps Peter will start off with the famous black suit at first, but slowly as you progress through the game with the black suit, all of his emotions, his pain and suffering would only manifest the monster within quite literally too. Maybe this theory is a bit silly, but when you really take the time and think about it, what exactly is Venom to Peter Parker Spider-Man? Venom is the exact equivalent of all the harm that's been caused to Peter. Picture it like this. To the average person that deals with trauma, relationship problems, loss, abuse, and all the unfortunate negativity that comes with it, it can really be molded into something really ugly. Think about it this way. There are a lot of people in this world who have been wronged, right? Who feel like they've been betrayed or hurt in so many ways that they cannot even imagine or fathom it. So, in turn, these people tend to become monsters. They tend to cause harm unto others. And Venom serves as the perfect symbol as a monster. Peter Parker comes across as someone who bottles up their anger and frustration, at least in this iteration of Spider-Man, but I think Venom in Marvel Spider-Man 2 provides the opportunity for Peter to finally explode in the most unfortunate way and use this Venom persona and newfound symbiote powers as a gateway to lash out and even hurt his loved ones. If this is the case, then Miles Morales has a lot on his plate to deal with because supposedly we're going to be able to play as Miles Morales in various missions throughout the game. But for the majority of the game, we will be playing as Peter Parker Spider-Man. But let me know what are your thoughts about this theory and article we just discussed. Could Peter Parker be the first one to take on the mantle as Venom? Is Harry Osborn only serving as a fake out as Venom? Who do you think will take on the mantle as Venom in the game? Do you have any theories or stories you'd like to craft out? Comment down below with your best thoughts and theories. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so y'all don't miss videos like this, and help me by reaching 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Guys, I really appreciate it if you did, and I will see you all in the next comic panel.
His disappointment. Will one of you finally give me what I desire?
PlayStation